We're live.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Hey, welcome. I'm Kara,
I'm Joy.
and together we are Painted Bird. We are a creative marketing, branding, PR company. We also have graphic design services, music video ideation. We help with all sorts of things in the artistic process. Joy, would you like to expand on any of that?
Yeah, so we are artists ourselves, and we started this company because we thought such a need for people that understood the process, that were artists and had that, you know, um, perspective to help other artists. So we're really excited to be here today, and we're talking about
Branding 101. One of our favorite things that we do is branding. We find visual language so important, and it's so crucial to an artist's career. Branding really extends from your song selection, your appearance, your visuals, think photos, music videos, etc., your merch, your marketing choices. Everything stems from your brand, which in our opinion stems from your music. So that's how we work. Authentic brands coming from your story, coming from who you are as a person, is very, very important to us at Painted Bird. And
absolutely.
so I mean, we're here to help you. We're here. This is going to be very interactive for artists out there, for fans of artists out there who are curious about what goes in behind the scenes of your favorite artists and their stories and their brands. We're going to ask you questions. If you have any questions for us about your brand, we are here to help. We want this to be as interactive as we can possibly make it. So leave us a comment here. If you're in the chat, if you're an artist, let us know. We want to get to know you personally. Can't wait to hear from some of you. But, first we wanted to start with what is a brand? And a brand is an identifying marker that helps create a memorable identity within a marketplace. So for example, when you think of Madonna, Joy, what comes to mind?
Oh, I immediately think of her as a sex symbol and also an absolute goddess. What about you?
Yes, that was what I was going to say came to mind too. I feel like she's very sexy. She's very strong. She's bold.
Powerful.
She's powerful. And those are all words that make us think of Madonna's brand. If you think of Katy Perry, what do you think of?
I think of how fun she is, the sort of kid-like nature of her, music and her artistry in terms of like she has food items and sharks. And then I also think of her as this massive sex symbol. What do you think of?
She's very playful. Katie's very
Mhm.
playful. I think of her as childlike, as playful, all those things. And yes, I think she has a different kind of sex appeal than Madonna, and we could go into that further. But Katie's sex appeal is much more like naive and innocent, and Madonna's is much more like I'm here and I'm this like powerful force. Then Lady Gaga, she's eccentric. She's opinionated, like she's
She's
experimental.
political.
Yeah,
Yeah.
political. Those are all phrases I would think of. Taylor Swift, I would think of like everybody's best friend, a songwriter, very relatable. She's her brand has very much evolved over the years, and recently she has been stepping into more of that powerful phase of her life. But I think that she had to evolve into that. And we've done a whole branding
Yes.
breakdown on Taylor Swift in the past. If you want to go back on Scenes videos to see our Taylor Swift brand breakdown, we broke down all of her albums from the very beginning and how her brand has evolved. But Beyonce, she's very fierce. She's got Sasha Fierce, her alter ego. I feel like Beyonce is very empowering. She's very much about self-love and self-respect and commanding that respect. Is that how you see Beyonce too?
Absolutely. And I think she's such a powerful voice for women and, of course, in the Black community. And yeah,
Yes.
Lemonade, one of the best albums of all time, hands down.
Yes, and she's really like in her body, and she owns it. And so that's what I think of when I think of her. Snoop Dogg, I think of smoking weed. And like,
Yeah.
honestly, and he's kind of fun and funny and cool and chill. And like that's what I think of when I think of him. We could go on and on. If you have any of your favorite artists, drop them in the comments section and we can break down some words that come to mind when we think of their brands. But For musicians, this brand, typically develops through long-term decisions, such as what does your music sound like? What clothes do you wear? What themes and topics are your songs about? What are the causes you support? What are the ways in which you communicate to that target fan base? And so, if there are any artists on here, there are questions you could ask yourself, like, what does your audience expect from you? What have you promised them? What kind of experience will they have when they're listening to your music, attending your shows, buying your merch? And is your brand one of a kind? Can you compare it to any of these other artists? Or if you can, if you're like, I feel like I'm a mix of these three artists, what are those qualities that those three artists have, and where do you fall that makes you different? So, at the moment, you are responsible for creating your brand and developing yourself as an artist, because while in the past labels would develop artists, now no one does that for you, and they really expect you to have it figured out. So we are here to help. That's something that we do. It's very hard as artists to figure out your own brand, because it's you, and you're like, I'm so multifaceted and I'm complex, and no, I'm not just fierce, or I'm not just witty, or I'm all these things, right? And that's true. But in order to be that kind of identifying marker in this marketplace full of different artists, there are things that you can define, and that'll help inform your decisions as an artist as to what does your artwork look like, what songs should you continue to put on your record, what kind of music videos should you do, how should you creatively market your product on socials, all those kind of questions. Joy, would you like to explain?
Yeah, I think that is the number one question we get at Painted Bird, is that of, I'm a multifaceted person. How do I make, no one wants to think of themselves in a sort of cartoon version of themselves. But Kara, you are someone that did that so masterfully on Life in Review, because I can say, as your friend and someone that's known you for quite a while, that you are literally everyone's best friend. And you were able to convey that with your brand, through your social media, through your songs. Like, what would you say one way that you brought that through in your brand as an example that's similar to how you do it in real life?
Oh, thank you, Joy. That's very sweet of you to say. I think for me, I just made my brand, brand very interactive. So I would do kind of quizzes on my socials, or I had my nice guy of the day where, anyone on my socials could submit their friends, their family, anyone that they thought was a nice guy who could be selected for nice guy of the day. I made it very interactive, I think, and I really would ask for opinions, and I would ask for stories in return, and I would share stories, and I'd get very personal in interviews and on socials, and just sharing who I am. I'm not a mysterious artist. I don't think, it's not that I'm so out there, but I think, I do have some space, but I think that I'm very tangible in the sense that you can get to know me, you can message me, you can share with me your life. We're on this journey together. Tell me what stories make you think of certain songs of mine. Share stories with me. I'll share stories with you. And I think that that was conveyed probably through the images of the record. It was also conveyed probably through the language I used on socials and the way that I spoke on videos. And the reason I think I was able to do that was because, like you said, that brand is me, and that's how I am in my actual life. And so
and you sent fans gifts the same way that you sent me a gift on my birthday, or anyone that knows Kara, she's like a very, very generous person. And I've noticed that you've transferred that as an artist into how you interact with your fans. And I make this point because these are things that you do when you develop your brand. The more authentic you are, the more sustainable it is, right?
I think you're right. That's something, I would write personalized letters to anyone who would order merch. I would send items or pieces from my clothing, from my wardrobe that I wore for certain shoots or sets or on stage or whatever, to kind of give them a piece of the music. I wanted to make sure my music felt very tangible. And I think in that, my, parakeets, I like to call them parakeets because I'm like, they call themselves parakeets, but they're not really even fans to me at this point, because they're friends and family to me, and they're a part of me because they love that side of my music that is me. But I feel like it became very personalized. It became very like, we're all a part of this. I want you to have pieces of this story and this journey. and we're on this journey together and it's all of us. And so that's part of what I did, but that wouldn't work for everybody, you know, because that's not everybody's brand.
Yeah, like think of Daft Punk, right? They never want someone to even see their face.
Yes,
That
that's a
would be
perfect
the
example.
flip, the complete antithesis of your brand.
Right. Or even like yes, like Dead Mouse or any of those artists that cover their face, that wouldn't be what they wouldn't do what I did because my brand is different.
They
It's
have a
very
very effective brand that is authentic to what they hope to convey, you know?
yes, or even like Lana Del Rey is a little more mysterious and on her socials are a little more vague and it's kind of dreamy pictures of her, but that you know, you don't always and you might get poetry, but you're not going to get the actual story or you're you know what I'm saying? So it depends on the artist. And so you have to know who you are because there have been artists that have had brands that weren't true to them that they've become very successful off of and then in the future, you see interviews with those artists and they're saying, that's not me. That's not even my style of music. That was never me. That was created by a label or by so-and-so or whatever. And because it was created, it became unsustainable, right? Because they couldn't keep it up. They were like, this is not me. And then eventually they maybe came into who they were and brought that into their brand and they put out different music and maybe fans of the old music didn't connect to it because they connected to a different person who wasn't who that person you know was so you know what I'm saying, you get what I'm saying because you've been there and you can relate too as well, Joy, but like with you know it's like I feel like
Absolutely.
and I've been there and like you know what it's like, so I feel like it's tough to do because you want to stay true to yourself, but it's also you know, an amplified version of you, right? Because we're all trying to figure out how do I show who I am because I am so you know, I'm so complex and I'm all these things and how do I be true to who I am? And what are the qualities I want to amplify? Because to me, I'm like, well, I can be fierce, you know, or whatever, but I'm
Yeah.
not but then I'm like, well, am I as fierce as Beyonce, right? Or like,
You can be mysterious like Lana,
yeah,
you
I'm like,
know,
I'm mysterious.
like but I think that brings us in. Oh, by the way, Logan is saying he likes your butterfly necklace.
Oh, thank you, Logan. Thank you so much, Logan. If you want to tell us who your favorite artist is, we could tell you a little bit about their brand. So if you want to put, you know, in the comments your favorite artist, I don't have a watch on, Logan, no, but I'm sorry I didn't wear it today. But let us know your favorite artist because we could always tell you what we think about their brand. But you know, it is. I think your brand, the most successful brands are the authentic brands. Because if they are authentic to you, you can sustain it because it is you. And it's like your most prominent qualities that people can pinpoint out when they're talking about you. So there's an exercise that my
Yes.
good friend and this and an amazing vocal coach and vocal producer, Dean Shepard, he has a studio called Vocal Dimension where he teaches vocal lessons. You can hire him as a vocal producer. He helps develop artists. And he has a book called Become a Singing Star. Sorry, Become a Singing Star. And he has this exercise called the mind map where you write your name in the center of a piece of paper. And around it, you write words that describe you. And you ask others you trust as well, you know, what you think is a weakness might be a strength. So you know, put all these words. And then if you select 3 words that really feel the most true to you, everything in your brand could stem from those. Of course, this can always
Yes.
be revisited, revised as your music evolves.
Kara, what would your 3 words be? And then I'll do 3 words and we can give an example for all of you.
Well, it's tough because you know, it's so interesting. That's a really good question. I actually did this with somebody else who helped give me my 3 words because I was like, it's tough when it's you, right? And so
I
when
could do 3 words for you.
okay, go for it.
I would be, well, I don't know if there are 3 words, but 3 phrases. How about
Sure,
that?
sure, sure. Yeah, you can give me.
Yes, I would say that you are friendly and approachable. You are empowering, and
Oh,
yes,
joy.
and you are very honest.
Oh, I was gonna say that's one of your words. I feel like
you're very meaningful in what, like, to you, your music is very purposeful and you have a strong message, is what I'm hoping. Those were my 3 phrases.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I think that like I try to take, I think relatable and real and, I think those are definitely words that come to mind. I don't know. I think it's evolving as I evolve as well. But
You're also very fun, and that's
yeah, fun too. Fun and like effort, one of my other coaches does something similar to the mind map and he said effervescent and like
I love that word.
I know,
heard
I
that
was like
word in a while.
effervescent. He's like, you're very effervescent. I was like, wow, okay, I was like, that's a cool word. I'll take
Me too.
effervescent. So, I mean, those are words, but again, it kind of stems from for me, it stems from the music too. So, but I write my music from myself. And so the hope is that everything lines up. Like the music feels like this, your brand feels like this, and if you're struggling, I always say that you can go back to the music. I think that Joy, if you want to explain a little bit about.
Yeah, when we work with artists, we always want to hear your music, even if it's a demo or a draft, because that really helps us come up with how we think your message could be conveyed to the world, which is your brand and comes
Yes.
from your core values.
Yes, and so Joy put out a record called Midnight, and I think that through Midnight you really were able to show your brand, which I think is very honest. I feel like you're very like intimate with yourself, real with yourself. I think that you tap into honest, real emotions. You tug at the heartstrings. I think that I think that were all really words that came to me from Midnight. And there was also a darker energy from that, which I think was why you called it Midnight, right? I don't know if you want to talk a little bit on that, but I think that with Midnight, you were shining light on the dark side of Hollywood. So it made sense that it felt intimate and honest and it felt raw and exposing and also just like very, emotionally there
Dark.
and honest.
Yeah.
Dark. Yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was hoping for. I wanted a brand that was dark and sad and honest.
Yeah. And that's what it is. Yeah, sad's a good word too. And that's the thing. It's sort of like we go back to the mind map exercise, what you think might not be a great word, like sad. You're like, I don't want to be.
No, it's not a positive.
But that can be a strength because think of all the artists who write,
sad songs. And that's all they write. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a huge asset to them. I mean, even going back to Adele, Adele writes sad heartbreak songs and she's an incredible artist. Logan.
And she's still doing it, right? Like her new album, that brand works for her every single
Adele's brand really stays very, very consistent, it seems. And it's her shifts in her brand are very subtle. So, this time there seems to be a little bit more color. So I'm expecting a little bit more hopefulness, but it's very close to her other brands. Whereas someone like Taylor switches up her brand very drastically every record. So you can learn from all of these artists. Logan, I see. Yes, I don't think he's on now, but I'll answer your questions if you're back as soon as you get back. So that's a cool exercise. It stems, we really work from the music outwards. If you write your music yourself, like Joy was kind of saying, that would contain who you really are. And it can be a way to work outward and discover your words because music can be a highlighted or exaggerated version of yourself or a moment, which is also what brand is. So that can be another place to start. But Logan, I just wanted to say, yes, I know we met on Instagram because we were friends. And Joy is on Apple Music. So everybody.
Kara's on Apple Music and Spotify, all of the streaming.
Joy is on all of them. So make sure you go listen. But I wanted to say that, at Painted Bird, we really do believe that the best and most authentic and sustainable brand is the one that's the most authentic and true to you. So considering who you are, your personal story, it can really help with your creative ideation, your visual language, your strategy, your brand identity, and your authentic voice. How do you communicate, that truth about you and your backstory, Joy?
I think, you know, again, how I communicate it is through the music, right? That's your first tool. It's through what you post, the causes you care about, how you communicate with your fans. Again, Kara and I had different ways of communicating with our fans because we're different people with different brands. And
We
so
do.
when you're, you know, but again, you're starting from your story and your authentic story. And that's how you identify your fan base. Who needs to hear your music? Who may relate to your experiences? You know, where do these people live? What are their lives like? What values do you represent? And who else shares those values? Those are all really important tactics in
Hello,
terms of your
Sue. Thank
community.
you for being here. Sue, if you want to tell us
Hi,
your favorite,
Sue.
if you want to tell us your favorite artist, we could tell you what, you know, if we know who they are, we could tell you what we might think that their brand is if you're curious. Because oftentimes when you think someone doesn't have a brand, they do, you know, and just even having a lack of a brand is a brand in itself that's very like stick it to the man, or very like I don't want to associate myself with, you know, the
Yeah.
typical society things. That's a brand too. That's a rebellious brand. That's an, you know, that, you know what I'm saying? It's like we all have some form that kind of shines through. And I think that it often comes from your core values and what you represent. And I think that fans who share those values will come and flock to you and inspire, you know, a sense of belonging amongst like-minded individuals, you know, like a fandom. So
Yeah.
I think that's why it's hard to even say fans are like fans or whatever, because they feel so I think at least for me, I'm like
The
they have,
connection is so authentic to you. Yeah.
yeah, it's so authentic because they share my same core values. So I'm like, if you get my values and you like what I'm sharing and my music is so true to my core values, if you can relate to that, we must be really like similar on some level, you know? So I think that that's how I feel about that. But I think, you know, once you're able to kind of figure out what captures your essence, you can kind of go from there. And if you can think of your story and if you can think of your values, you can then ask, you know, if this is true, what else is true? What would that person wear?
Absolutely.
What do they post about? What themes and topics are they passionate about? What causes do they support? What ways do they communicate with their fan base? What does their website look like? And it can kind of go from there, and it can lead to, you know, creative marketing. And how do I roll out a song based on my brand? What is the creative concept for my music video that's aligned with my record, my song, my brand? Going back to my own, you know, I had a song called Nice Guy. I knew that I want to be myself. I like to talk. I'm personable. I'm, you know, relatable. I
And
want to
you're very nice.
Oh, thank you. So I was like, let me ask my community to share their nice guys that they want to make nice guy of the day. And so that was a way that my, you know, brand and my song Nice Guy led to a creative marketing campaign, because then the nice guy of the day would share that. And then his friend who nominated him would share it. And it kind of led to natural organic sharing and growth.
Right? And ultimately, the song performed really well.
I ended up performing it on a radio station, and the only reason they had me on the radio station was because they liked the quirkiness of the Nice Guy of the Day campaign. So,
Well,
you know,
and the song's really great.
well, thank you. That's sweet. But you know what I'm saying? It's like it all stems from somewhere. And you can kind of say, if this is true, what else is true? How do I go from there? And it can also lead to PR, you know, what publications best partner with your unique brand. And it can open up further career opportunities in alignment with that brand. What charities and brands would partner with your brand? You know, sometimes an entire record is branded within the artist brand, which I think Taylor does really well. And
Right? With her merch and the music videos with the merch, and it all aligns.
yes, and then for the next record, it shifts, but everything goes with it. The merch aligns
Very
with
smart.
it. The shows align with it. Everything align, you know, even though the brand shifts, everything shifts with it. It's not just her style shifting. The music has also shifted. The merch has shifted. You know, it's all very congruous. You should go live with scenes more often, Carrie. Yes, we're going to be going live here
Every 2 weeks.
every 2 weeks, talking about these kind of things. So you should come back. I don't know if you have a favorite artist, Logan, but we might be able to break down their brand for you. So let us know. And I always say, and we do this at Painted Bird, but we'd love to make mood boards for albums and EP photo shoots based on the above concepts that we were talking about, the previous concepts. So we really do. We like to think about those concepts when we create those mood boards for records and songs and campaigns. So I don't know if anyone has any questions or if you want to share your brand or any struggles you're dealing with branding. I see a couple of you on right now. So if any of you are curious about branding, have any questions about your favorite artists, or have any questions about your own brands, let us know.
And Kara, so we do a lot of things at Painted Bird, but we always come back to branding. Why do you think of it as sort of the nucleus of who you are as an artist and almost the most important service that you can get as an artist? Why is that?
I think it just makes everything else congruous. Like, I feel like it's tough if you don't have a core, because, you know, we are so multifaceted that it's very easy to be like, well, I love that shirt, so I'm going to sell that shirt. And I love this song, so I'm going to sing this song. And then
right. Or this company wrote me on Instagram and wants me to market this product that I've never used before in my life. And I don't think my fans, you know, why would I market a cowboy hat if I don't?
It doesn't make sense for everybody. That's a really great point, because even as an artist, and you know this too, I get approached by so many companies asking me to promote their products, their necklaces, their supplements, their pants, their like so many things.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't aware of what my values are as a person, as an artist, it would be very easy to say yes to things that maybe aren't the best choices for me, just because it's there. So, and same with causes, you know, you're being pulled in a lot of directions. So it's like, will you perform at this concert charity or this or that or this? If you know what you represent and what your brand stands for, it's a lot easier to narrow it down and say, well, I'm going to be going and working with this animal rights charity because that's what one of my values. And I actually have a song about endangered species or whatever. That's just an example. But, you know, that would be in alignment because you have that song about that. You also care about those values, and that would be in alignment. But it might not be as in alignment for a different company. And if your time is split, you know, you have to quickly know how to make those choices. So I think having a brand is really a great blueprint to go back to, because you're like, this is my blueprint. This is what I'm trying to do. We're all writing different kinds of songs. We like to wear different kinds of outfits. And I think that's okay as long as you go back to knowing why you're doing it. What is your core? What do you want to represent? What are you trying to say? Because if you know what you're trying to say, you can go outward from there. Like, for example, with Life in Review, my last independent record, I knew that there was a lot of themes of letting go, moving on, self-discovery, girl power. So because of that, it allowed me to align with certain girl power organizations, feminist charities, because I knew it was really a record about a female, myself, growing and learning and stepping into my own self-worth through the record. So because of that, I was like, how can I help other women recognize their self-worth? How can I partner with organizations that share that value, which is helping, you know, young women or women of all ages step into their self-worth? That's just one example. Every artist is going to have a totally different story, different examples. But because my story was about letting go of things and learning my self-worth, it made sense because of my own story. So it was very true to my story. And I think that the trap certain artists get in is that they're not always, you know, if they're not staying true to their story, it can be hard to sustain it because it doesn't feel like those values ring true anymore. Or it feels like a label put them on and they didn't ever actually feel that way. So then it doesn't feel authentic to keep partnering with certain organizations, et cetera. So it can become a conflict of morals. And that's when it makes it hard to sustain this, when you're not feeling true to your morals and yourself and your values. So that's why I think brand is so important. I think it helps you to sustain your career. I think it helps you to stay true to yourself if you're doing it correctly. And I think that it also allows you to explore what does your music say? And I think if you know what you're saying with your music, you have a deeper connection to your music as well. Because if you're like, I know my music is about self-discovery, like in my instance, or I know my music is about, XYZ, then you're more in touch with yourself, you write better songs, you know how to grow from there. There's a whole slew of reasons I think branding is so important. What do you think, Joy?
Absolutely. And we've had artists that we love their music, but they haven't finished their brand. And so, their photo shoots don't represent something clear, or they don't match the music. And we've had instances where we've had to, sort of work with them to go back to the beginning and back to the brand before going out and marketing their work and getting publications. And on that flip side, there's also artists that have really strong brands, and the music is fine and everything, but the brand is really strong and they do really well. So it's so important.
No, you're right. Sometimes an
Mhm.
artist can have a really like eye-catching brand or something that makes you listen, and it can actually help the music do better than it would have. And vice
Mhm.
versa, you can have incredible music, but if the imagery doesn't line up with it, people don't know what they're going to get. And so the right audience might not be inclined to click and listen to your music. Even if you think of like Coca-Cola or any of these brands, like you kind of have a sense through their commercials, through their through their print ads, through their virtual ads, what you're gonna get. And I know a lot of those like Coca-Cola like soda companies want you to feel like refreshed and like you took a sip and it was like
You improved your life. Yes.
yeah. And so that's their thing. And if it wouldn't make sense for them to be selling Coca-Cola, but their ad is like a black backdrop
Negative. Yeah.
with a, with a pasta or something. Like you just have to think about the two, because if you're not going to find your way to it if you're not understanding what world it lives in. Obviously, there's more to uncover once you listen to the music, once you try the Coca-Cola or whatever. But we need something to lead the horse to water, so to speak, right?
Yes.
And keep people to click, and it sucks to have to say that. And when we love making art, we love making music, it's like my favorite thing. But it's beyond that, because even if you love making it and it was great and you love the song, we need to find a way to get someone to listen. It's such an oversaturated marketplace that the branding, I think, is what sets it apart from someone maybe listening
So important.
to your song versus Cindy's song or whoever. So
Mhm.
that's why we think it's important. And nowadays labels don't A&R and develop artists the way they used to. It's really expected that the artists will develop themselves and their brand, and labels won't jump on until the artist has developed their brand. So this can be difficult, this can be time consuming, but the good news is that you're in control of your artistic identity, and you can create that brand that is truly authentic to your core values, which can create a sustainable brand and thus a longer term relationship with your super fans. And, that's just the truth, even though we don't love to hear that we have to do it ourselves these
But
days.
we're here to help you with it. And that's something that we love to do. We love to support artists and help them find their audience, and in an authentic way. So we work really closely with you on that. And we actually have a special for Scenes audience members. What is that, Kara?
Yes, so I'm gonna link to our other. We have a special website for scenes that I'm going to link right now to everybody there, and you can fill
Mhm.
out the form at the bottom, and you can get 20% off your first service or package with us if you mention scenes when you email us, which is just info@paintedbird.co, not .com, .co. And so here's the website. I'm going to
Oh,
put
you
it
got that. Okay, good. Because I
I'm gonna
think mine
put
went to a private chat.
it in the
There
chat
you go.
now. Do you guys see that?
We
Hopefully
see
that.
the Scenes partnership promo, and this is a very good deal.
Oh, here it is.
Yes.
It won't let me click, but hopefully it lets you click. Yes, we give deals for scenes viewers and
We
scenes
love Scenes, and we love how they're supporting indie artists.
we really do. So let us know your struggles, because we're here. We know how challenging it can be to do this on your own. And that's why we created Painted Bird, because we feel like we've learned so much through our journey as artists. So, please don't feel like you have to do this alone. We are here to help you. And let us know, send us a message, ask us brand questions, and we're rooting for you. You're not doing this alone. If you can go back to your story, to who you are, to your values, to those 3 words, shout out Dean Shepherd, vocal
Yes, he's got a great book.
Become a Singing Star. Go back to those words. Ask your friends for feedback, because we don't always see ourselves as in the way that the world sees us. And see where you can go from there, and then compare that to your music and see, do my words make sense when I listen to my music? Do I get those words from the music too? And try to line that up, because the music is the most important thing. So if the music isn't feeling true to who you are as a person, maybe try writing some songs that feel like those 3 words. Or, if you feel like, no, my music is so true to me, ask your friends, what 3 words make them think of you, because maybe that is in line with your music. And then you'll go, oh, this makes sense with my music, these 3 words. And then kind of go from there with marketing the music of like, how can I make this fit into those kind of words that I can market and promote. I think that's a really great place to start. And then Joy and I do branding packages. We do creative marketing packages where we, help with creative grassroots campaigns for singles, for records. But we also do, like I said, branding packages that break down, everything from style to the music to promotion to all sorts of things, to the essence of
we are your dedicated partners. Yes, throughout the process.
Yes. So feel free to message us. We are sending all our love and support. And we're going to be doing these brand breakdowns twice a month till the end of the year, possibly beyond that. So come join us, tell your friends about it, and let us know if there's an artist you would like us to break down. We just wanted to make sure that we at least do one Branding 101 talk, so that you can refer back to this when you don't know where to start with yourself as an artist. And we're hoping that we can provide value through this for you, so that, as we go on and we break down other artist brands, like we did a whole talk for Taylor Swift, which you can find here on Scenes. We did a talk for Casey Musgraves, which you can find here on Scenes. We go very in depth into those artist brands with their merch, each single, that we thought was a standout single, their records. So go watch those if you want to deep dive into Casey Musgraves or Taylor. But we wanted to do a Branding 101, so you can get some tips for your own brand, so that you can start thinking as we break down some of these other artist brands as we go.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
Yes, follow us, please.
We'll probably be on TikTok soon.
Yes, and we will announce when we have these talks. So hope you all have an incredible evening. Thank you so much to Scenes for having us. Yes. Thank you so much to Harold. We're so lucky that he's having us here, and we hope this provides value for you all.
Thank you so much, everybody. We look forward to hearing from you.
Bye, everyone. See you soon.